Schmoedown.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Janet, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the Schmoedown Rundown, the official episode of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. My name is Brad Gilmore, but you might know me by another name. You might know me as The Boat. Hashtag best of all time, hashtag Brad's Opinions True, hashtag boat life, hashtag I'm on a boat with a moat around my castle because I'm king. And speaking of kings, there's only one place where the king resides. Do you know what I'm saying? There's only one place where the king resides, and right now that king I'm speaking of is Jesus, because Jesus is King was an album by Kanye West, who's from Chicago, which is also the residence of Frank Janish. How are you, sir?
Confused. I don't know how. I didn't
good.
know where you were going with your opening there.
I didn't either.
But yeah, I could tell a little bit. I was like, I don't think he knows. And then he got there somehow. I was like, okay, all right.
I stumbled through it.
Yeah,
By
you
the
did.
way, a little excited. I'm not going to be going, at least right now, but Kanye West is going to be in Houston at Joel Osteen. Do you know who Joel Osteen is?
I'm familiar.
Okay, at Joel Osteen's church, which is called Lakewood Church. It's right down the street from my office, like walking distance.
Uh-huh.
He's going to be performing or doing something there. It would be very interesting to go. But here's the thing. The church used to be the Compact Center. Do you remember Compact Computers?
Yeah.
COMPAC? So it was the Compact Center, and I saw Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey there. I saw Sable near naked in a string bikini on Monday Night Raw there, and now it's a church. Very odd. Very odd, this world that we live in, Frank Janish.
Indeed, it is. But you know what? It has its ups and it has its downs. But right now, it's going through an up, and that's because I'm very excited about this Disney Plus app, The Mandalorian. Have you heard of this? Disney Plus app?
I have. Can we?
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't spoil it. But what'd you call him on Twitter? Little dude.
Lil Dude. That's
Little dude. Little dude. What's going on
Lil
there?
Dude.
I mean, what is the deal?
Right. I'm very excited. Right now, my life really consists of Star Wars and Schmoedown, and that's about it. Could be worse,
It's not,
you know.
It's not a bad
So
life
I'm not
to live.
complaining. No, it's not. It's not. But there's a lot of Star Wars and there's a lot of Schmoedown, and there's a lot this week.
Look, enough talking about The Mandalorian. I have spoken.
Right.
Let's talk about some of the news that's been going on in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. Now, I know that just Frank Janish, by the way, guys. I don't know if you know this. This man wears so many hats. Unfortunately, he can't put them on because it would mess up his beautiful, beautiful hair. But
It's true.
what's going on with this podcast feed?
Yeah, so we're having some slight changes right now to the podcast feed. There was the Movie Trivia Schmoedown podcast feed, which had our show on the rundown, the Schmoedown matches on there, and the SEN Live audio versions of SEN Live on from the YouTube channel, and it was all on there. And then we had the Schmoedown classic feed, which had all the matches from 2014, 15, 16, right, on that feed.
Long time ago in a galaxy far away.
And so we had those two feeds. But now what we have is the Schmoedown feed, and then we have the SEN Live feed. So normally, like the main feed, if you will, that was where our show was at, and everything was on, aside from the classic matches, that's now the SEN Live podcast feed. So you'll just find SEN Live on that feed only. If you want to listen to the Schmoedown and our show, the Schmoedown Rundown, you will have to go to the Schmoedown Movie Trivia Schmoedown podcast feed, which was formerly the classic feed. So if you were subscribed to both feeds, you don't have to worry about a
We're
thing.
good.
You'll just
Nothing
see
changes.
the artwork change, and you'll still be subscribed to all the feeds. But if you're just subscribed to the main Movie Trivia Schmoedown podcast feed and not the classic feed, and you still want to listen to the matches and our show, then you have to go to the podcast feed that's formerly known as the classic feed, which is now the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. So just search Movie Trivia Schmoedown. You'll find it all there. And so those were the two little changes that we have that just took place this week.
And look at that. Look at that. We have them right here. I'm going to flash them there.
Yeah, okay.
For everyone to see. There is the SEN Live and the Schmoedown feeds. Make sure you subscribe to both. Don't look at what else I'm subscribed to, Frank Janish. I saw you trying to figure me out.
I already did.
I'm not going to let you do
screenshot
that.
it.
What'd you figure?
Rewind. I'll hit rewind.
Don't share that. Don't share that, please.
I'm putting it on YouTube.
Well, that's good to know about the podcast because I was a little bit confused as to what was going on there. Now, coming up next season, we know that we're going to have the draft that's going to change the face of the movie trivia Schmoedown forever. And here's the thing. Ever?
There you go.
Ever? I don't know how he did that.
I don't know.
Close your eyes on the magic. Feel the magic. Vegas on acid. Seeing through Yves Saint Laurent glasses. Anyway, we know I've had a Red Bull and a half today, so I'm a little bit wired up.
This is great.
We know 9 managers have been confirmed. Well, technically 9 teams in some regards when we talk about Grace and Ken, but 9 overall entities will be selecting so far. We know Roxy Stryer. We know the Tom Ist of Dagnino. We know Kaiser. We know Coy Jandrew, Emma Fife, Winston Marshall, Jay Washington, Robert Meyer Burnett, Grace Hancock, and Ken Knapsack. Or, as I like to call him, Napcock. And, I did not mean to do that, but
but it happened.
It happened.
And we're rolling with it, so that's
we're live, pal.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. We're live.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the 9 entities that we know that are going to be drafting movie trivia Schmoedown competitors, but we don't know the final one. And Frank Janish, I hear that you have some inside information on when we might hear whom the final manager is going to be.
Yeah, found out, and by this time, probably a lot of other people have found out by now that, because people have been wondering, when are we going to find out who's the last manager? And now we know that we're not going to find out who the last 10th manager is until the day of Spectacular. I don't know when's going to happen, before Spectacular, during Spectacular, after Spectacular. Maybe it happens, maybe it's announced during the little Schmoecon that we're having before Spectacular, so you might want to show up for that.
Schmoecon!
But we are going to find out that day, so if you're going to... Because I've seen plenty of people tweet or post in the Facebook group, when are we going to find out the last one? When are we going to find out the last one? Well, now you know, you're going to find out. So you don't have to ask that question anymore. You can just theorize who it could be. And I've seen some of the theories out there. And I think they're all great if any one of those people like Sam Levine, Clark Wolf, Rachel Cushing, you see... who else was out there? Who was another name I saw? Maybe some people were saying, Ellis, or some people were saying, well, what if Roca doesn't defend with Founding Fathers and maybe he retires and becomes a manager? So in that case, we would find out at the end of Spectacular. So there's a lot of different possibilities out there, and it's fun to kind of theorize who could be that final 10th manager.
John Roca does not need to retire, even if he doesn't defend. We don't need to see Roca retire.
You know what?
Roca is officially Tom Brady, right? He's the oldest player in the league.
Well, I think Jeff Snyder would disagree in terms of the Patriot comparison.
I didn't say older. Oh, I thought you were saying that he's the oldest player in the league. I didn't say oldest looking. Well, I meant the actual oldest. I'm taking all kinds of shots tonight.
You are. Good for you.
But I think that John Roca needs to continue to play until his body just tells him he can't do it anymore. But I really like the idea of Mark Ellis. Think about this. This is a sports guy. Mark Ellis lives and breathes sports. He watches, football, baseball. He's up to date on basketball. He's up to date on everything. And he could really look at this from a sports mind. Now, there's a couple other guys who are in the draft who are sports minded. Tom Dagnino, Kaiser. I think Winston Marshall as well.
Yeah. And Coy. I think most people are.
Roxy. But
absolutely.
How many people are like in it? Like you could tell who projected draft picks from the SEC are going to be and stuff like. You know what I mean?
Sure. Hey, what if we got Matt Nost? What if he's not playing? He's a retired player. What if he came back and was the manager? interesting wrinkle.
I like the idea.
But
I like the idea.
Another name that I think I've seen people put it out there, but another interesting one would be one Breanne Chandler. She's been around the Schmoedown a little bit more. You see
But
her
is she
in
retired?
live chats. I really don't know what her status is officially, but I guess you could say, I don't know. I mean, she competed last year with Drew McWeeny.
Miss Movies can just come through and break down the free for all. You know what I mean? She can do whatever she wants. She's Miss Movies.
So and she knows a lot about the Schmoedown. I mean, she just did a match this week, right? And she's called other matches, so she knows the game very well. She could be the 10th manager. She could be a good one too if she is.
I like that idea actually. So I what do y'all think? Comment in the section below. Is it going to be Mark Ellis? Is it going to be Miss Movies? Is it going to be Sam? I am the man Levine. I don't know. It could be any of them.
And so, you know what's interesting? Someone brought up, like, if it's Sam, what if he were to draft Drew McWeeny? You know, that's a nice dynamic I'd like to see.
I like it. But would he draft Andrew Guy?
Ooh. I mean, will the family be a top 5, top 10 protected team? I like to think so. So yeah, there would be that kind of situation if one Sam Levine was in fact a manager. Yeah, it's an interesting wrinkle.
And this is what I like too about the draft is you have to also think personality fit, right? Like some people are talented, and you will look past a lot because of that talent. But then there is a point to where it doesn't matter how talented you are, you're not worth the drama. You know, and Antonio Brown comes to mind. Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, Friend of Panda comes to mind. So, guys of that ilk, even a Dennis Rodman.
What
Like,
about
I don't know if I want
Latrell Sprewell, you know?
That's who I was really trying to think of. Some guys might choke the coach. Did I ever tell you about Latrell Sprewell in my interaction with him?
What's this?
Okay. So I don't think anyone knows this story. But when Booker and I were doing a heated conversation on our old radio show, I got a DM from a blue check mark account from Latrell Sprewell. And I was like, okay, this is like the real Latrell Sprewell. He's tweeting, you know, he's putting up pictures. It's like, boom, okay. And I DM him back, and he's like, man, big wrestling fan, listen to your show. I'm like, Latrell Sprewell listens to the show? That's awesome. Second coolest person to tell me that. And then he's like, I want to come on the show. I was like, oh, book. Latrell Sprewell wants to come on the show. He's like, really? Let's book him. Let's have him on tomorrow night. I'm like, hey, man, can you come on tomorrow night? Yeah, man, we can come on. Cool. Anyway, calls in, live on air, Latrell Sprewell, and he's talking, and I'm like, who the hell is this?
Uh-oh.
This isn't Latrell Sprewell. This sounds nothing like him. And then Booker was looking at me, too. We did the interview. It was really awkward. Terrible interview. Awful. Like, dog awful. Waste of airtime. And then I got a DM from the guy who runs Slam Magazine. The basketball magazine. He goes, hey, did y'all just have Latrell Sprewell on your show? And I was like, yeah. He goes, here's a fun fact, not Latrell Sprewell. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, some guy has hacked his account, and he's been trying to do interviews as Latrell Sprewell.
No way.
And all these people were doing interviews with him, Slam Magazine being one of them, thinking he was Latrell Sprewell. And I'm sure Latrell doesn't even know this to this day.
Probably.
But that account got deleted, and then Booker and I never spoke about it publicly because we were a little embarrassed that we got catfished.
Well, I mean, you weren't the only ones, I guess. I mean, but
we weren't the only ones.
And you're supposed to be able to trust that check mark. So I mean, and apparently people did, and you did, and that's a funny story though. It
sucked because Booker is like, hey man, we got to talk about it. Like, what was going on in your head when you grabbed the coach?
What episode number was it? This has got to be on the.
I'll find it.
Out there. It's still gonna be out there. Right?
It's out there somewhere. I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
That's great.
I'll find it because now you know what too. I think on a random episode, he tried to call in again to the hotline.
Jeez.
And we're like, this is not Latrell Sprewell. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But you have to start wondering, are any of these people worth the risk of drafting? And I think that Sam Levine, if he were to get Drew McWeeny, he would say, but do I really want to deal with the personality of an Andrew Guy? Is that worth it? And he might pass on it. So anyway, we'll find out the 10th and final member of the managing roster come Spectacular, which you and I will both be at live in attendance, correct? You'll be there, I will be there.
That's the plan. That's the plan right now. So
Well, don't divert from the plan.
I'm not
That's why
diverting
we
from
have
the
a
plan.
plan.
I'm saying that's the plan right now. That's the plan.
What are you insinuating that I'm not going to stick to the plan?
It's conceivable, yeah. We've had plans this week, Brad, and they've changed.
I did. I will say I pushed Frank Janish back like 2.5 hours on the recording time. So that's my bad. Charge it to the game, brother. You live and you learn. SEN Live, the Schmoedown Entertainment Network Live. They had a few Schmoedown competitors and former players on the show. On the Wednesday show, they had both Ben Bateman and Rachel Cushing. They were talking about manager talk. They were talking about draft talk. There was a lot of talk going on. What was your analysis of what they were discussing, Frank Janish?
Yeah, I mean, last week we talked about, Ben was on last week as well, and I said, if you want to learn or know how Ben thinks about the game, listen to that. I think it was like last Thursday's episode. And then this week he was on with Rachel Cushing, who was on, and there's some Schmoedown talk in the beginning of that episode they were on, and you got to hear Rachel's thoughts on what a manager can do for you, and thoughts on the draft, and it was all very interesting because obviously it's coming from a player and a former player's perspective that you and I aren't able to have because we don't play in the Schmoedown. We're not out there, so it's always interesting to hear players' perspectives. Especially, I mean, even when we have them on this show, it's always great to have them, whoever it is, and hear their side of the things. But with the draft and the managers kind of situation, you just listen to Ben and Rachel. I mean, like, they really, really think about this stuff on a level that you might not otherwise expect, because it's a game and it's managers. You go out there and you pull out a number and you're picking fourth in the first round. Okay, cool. Give me Dan Murrell, whatever, whoever, Ethan Irwin. It's okay, cool. But they really take this just as serious as you would your own fantasy football, drafts, because everyone takes their fantasy football draft incredibly serious, even though it's just a game. But same thing is shaping up for the Schmoedown draft, which I think is great. And just listening to them talk was a lot of fun to listen to and learn certain things. And I think I don't want to point them out specifically or pinpoint certain things people said, and I suspect others, not just myself, but who have listened, should have picked up on some things that will raise your eyebrow, perk up your ears and go, oh, that's interesting he said that. It's interesting that she said that. Is that how this works? I don't want to specifically say anything, because if you didn't hear about it initially, I'm not trying to blow up anyone's spot or anything. So all I would say is go back and just listen to that episode, and you might learn some things that you didn't expect to learn, didn't expect to hear, and you go, oh, that's interesting and fascinating. So those interactions, those guests, Rachel and Ben on the show, it was a lot of fun to listen to.
Well, and Ben, though, also to go to your point, Ben was speaking a little bit spicy about Mike Kalinowski.
Oh yeah,
the day prior.
Every time he's on that show,
throwing some real slugs.
Every time he's been on there,
what?
yeah.
Here's the thing, and Ben, I love Ben, but as of right now, and I think he admitted this to a certain extent. If you were to look at it, you can speak to it statistically, but if you were to look at it by accomplishments, Mike Kalinowski, a little bit further ahead of Ben Bateman.
And
not
and
a little
Ben,
bit, a lot of it.
And Ben says as much.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it. That's what it is. But at the same time, he's like, I'm not scared of Ben. He's like, he's not scared of Kalinowski in singles or in teams. He's not. He's like,
how do they stack up statistically? Are they about even? I mean, is Mike a little bit better in singles or in teams or?
Well, Ben has had a crazy surge in the tournament this year. Actually, this should bring me to the cheat sheet I did earlier this week on Monday, where I kind of went through like my award contenders and stuff. And one of them was for Comeback Player of the Year. And I had Ben in there, and I had Kalinowski, and I was going through their numbers. And Kalinowski's accuracy jump is crazy, like 15% in singles and teams. Ben's made a huge jump, like 18% in accuracy rate. So they've made leaps and bounds from last year to this year. But Kalinowski does have the W over Ben. And
the all-important dub.
But I think if Ben was to play Mike tomorrow, Ben would crush him. I think because Ben just took his game to a whole nother level in this tournament. Because if Mike faced off against Ben Bateman in the tournament, I don't think Kalinowski would win. It'd be a good fight, but I don't think Kalinowski would win that one. And I don't think Kalinowski at this point would win the majority of the matches. If they play 10 matches, Ben and Kalinowski, Ben probably wins 7 of those. So that's just how good
How about we
Bateman
do that?
has been
How about we
elevating.
do that?
You wanna?
No, I like this idea. What if we did basketball style? You could do best 2 out of 3, best 3 out of 5, 7-game series. Mike Kalinowski, Ben Bateman. We could do it Patreon exclusive, right? Patreon exclusive. Best 4 games. First to 4 games. First to 4 wins. Best to 7 series. Book it. Just do it right now.
Yeah.
Would
sure,
you not
why not?
watch that? Would you not sign up for the Patreon for that?
That'd be interesting. I want it for teams then before I would want it for singles
Why?
because it's more fun with teams.
Yeah, but the question isn't which team is better. It's which player is better.
I guess. But...
One-on-one.
But you know what? We should also
You know what I
maybe think about this. Let's do Schmoedown Horse. So each competitor comes up with 10 of their own questions, and they give them to their opponent. And then
Oh, if the opponent doesn't get it, they get an H.
they get an H.
So could it be like Schmoedown Schmo?
It could be Schmo.
S-C-H-M-O-E?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's close.
Closer. Yeah. Or you can make it Schmobot. Make it Schmobot.
Make it Schlong? Anyway, why don't we get to some damn matches, Frank Janish?
Sure.
You've talked long enough.
I have.
We saw, once again, three, not 1, not 2, but 3 team matches this week. So the Family versus the Wild Berries, Shazam versus the Movie Guys, Crimson Fury versus Loose Cannons. Prior to our first match, the Family of the Wild Bears, we saw the Family of the Wild Bears, a little bit of love. You know what I mean? They got some love going on before the match. What did you think of that scene?
That was a fun scene. Robert Meyer Burnett's like, these guys are losers. Andrew Guy and Drew McGraney are like, they're great. Like, let's have a good time. And I think they can have that kind of cavalier attitude because they're like, they're great and we're gonna beat them. Like,
Yeah.
It's
like, we got to take this seriously.
Right. So it was a great fun scene to get into the match.
Once again, the Wild Berries are the bushwhackers of the movie Trivia Schmoedown. I've said that for years now. They are, and they are so entertaining together. And I knew they were going to lose this match. Like,
Yeah.
I was like 98% sure they were going to lose the match. And then I was 1,000% sure they were going to lose the match once Spinner's Choice came up on the wheel for the family. It was like, let's just put a bow on it. Do we even have to do the round? Can we just stop here? Can we just stop the bleeding? And once again, there's an opening round. These are going to happen. These blowouts are going to happen. The 1 seed and the 8 seed, it's going to happen. The 2 seed and the 7 seed, it's going to happen. But I thought that still there was a lot of good pulls, especially from Josh Makuga in the 2010s category.
Oh yeah, that was great.
He was on fire. We saw a little Makuga magic, although he didn't know Turtle Tom and the National Treasure movies whenever we got to the third round, which is 2010s, right? Oh, I guess it's not. When did those movies come out? They came out in the 2000s.
Yeah, I think it's 20. I don't know. Was it 20? I don't know. Yeah, because it wasn't.
It's recent enough. You should know.
Yeah, I don't though. So there you go.
Yeah, but I thought that Wild Berries, of course, they're always entertaining. But the family, I really don't even think it was a good match for the family, just because it was like, I felt a little bit like they were on autopilot, especially when they got 80s.
Yeah.
Their backs were never against the wall. They didn't try to do a who's the boss move and take your category just to prove a point. They just were like, let's just get through it. Let's go through the motions.
To be fair, does Wild Bears even have a category? I don't know that they do. Like
comedies?
Maybe. But I mean, I don't know how you say that the family doesn't. You said the family didn't have like a great match. Is that what you said?
No. I'm not saying that they didn't have a great match. They performed well, obviously. But I'm saying it wasn't like man, what a great performance, because of like if I beat my.
I mean, they missed only 3 questions this match, so I want
but
clarify.
Listen to me.
Clarify.
If I beat my nephew, my 10-year-old nephew Parker, what up Parker? If I beat him in a foot race, but I do it like, I do like a 100-meter dash and I do it pretty quickly, it's still impressive that I did it quickly. But it's not impressive that I did it against my nephew. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a bittersweet thing.
Yes, sure. But also at the same time, the Schmoedown in general it's not so much. I mean, I don't know what percentage I'd put it at, but it's more about playing your own game versus playing against your opponent. And the only
would somebody like a Ben Bateman agree with that?
I think more for singles than for teams. Just because in teams, obviously, or the first round, there's 4 people all playing all 8 questions in their first round, so you're playing against each other in that setting. But in rounds 2 and 3, you're not really playing against them per se. Yeah, there's a little bit to do with if you land on spinners or opponents. There's that kind of thing. You want to spin again or spin second. There's little stuff like that. I think it's probably more true for singles than it is for teams. So I'll kind of walk that back a little bit. But look, the family only missed 3 questions, and Andrew. First off, the first round for the family, Drew McWeeny had 7 points. Andrew Guy had 6, and I've been saying this for a little while now. Andrew Guy is so suited for the team format because, look, there was a total of 23 questions in this match for the family. Andrew Guy was only responsible for 8 of them on his own. Everything else, he got to collaborate with Drew McWeeny, right? Aside from Drew's own 8, right? So he collaborates on 6 questions with Drew McWeeny, and that's a lot of points. 12 possible points, because those are 2 apiece, right? So that's almost as many points. It's almost like half of what you can get from the first round, almost. So as long as he performs the way he does right now in this match, 6 points, if he can just average 6 points, Drew McWeeney's going to have 7. He'll flirt with perfect rounds every single match. He'll have 7, 8 points, maybe 9 points. And they'll be busting out 13, 12, 13, 14 points. That's a high total for the first round. And then with Drew McWeeney's golden arm, I did at least give a lot of crap to Kalinowski for always landing on Bond. But let me tell you what, the guy next up about who always gets his category is Drew McWeeny. In 2017, insane. In that tournament run, they got like 80s and 70s in like 5 of their 7 matches or something like that. It was something ridiculous. And again, it's happening here. He always ends up on 80s or on 7, something that's always a strong suit for him. If you are a teammate of Drew McWeeny, you always should let him spin. There's no reason for Andrew Guy to ever spin that wheel in this. As long as they're in this tournament, there is no reason for Andrew Guy to spin that wheel. Have Drew McWeeny go up there and spin away, because more often than not, he lands on a strength or he lands on spinners. I don't have the raw numbers in front of me, but guaranteed, I will probably put those numbers. I'll tweet those numbers out over the weekend, sometime over the weekend, Sunday maybe. Oh, Drew McWeeney's spinning numbers in round 2 Schmoedown, singles and teams. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's nuts. But the family pulls off the victory. Now, I don't have my office at my disposal again, so I don't have my my bracket printed out. But where does that put the family?
So, the family will await the winners of Evil Geniuses versus the Patties in 2. Now, again, remember, Evil Geniuses, that's Lon Harris and Simon Thompson now. JTE had to pull out because he now currently resides in the Midwest. He's in Wisconsin. He tweeted that out a couple weeks ago. So he's doing his own thing on his YouTube channel. So if you miss JTE, which we all do, go support his YouTube channel.
Yeah, and without JTE, the Evil Geniuses, good luck.
Yeah, because we don't know what Simon Thompson's capable of. So it'll be interesting to see.
We don't. It is a question mark. So I don't want to write them off entirely, but I just want to write them off to fit my narrative. Do you know what I'm saying? That's kind of my goal here. I don't want to write them off entirely, just enough to fit my narrative. So let's talk about the second match from the week. Let's talk about Shazam versus the movie guys. Now, also we saw something that's called the Kaiser Chronicles, and this is 2 Ks in it, according to my run sheet.
Yeah.
We saw him at Universal with Smets. Yeah. Right? What's going on here? What the hell are they doing?
So this what looks to be the Kaiser Chronicles is from this setup. They're looking for Kalinowski, and Kaiser says, "Look, he works here. We're gonna go get in. We're gonna bother him at his place of work. Get in his head. It's called mental warfare. We're gonna get in his head while he's working." And so to give Smets an edge at Spectacular, these are some pretty funny scenes. We got one here for the Universal, and then we had another one where it was, I can't remember if it was on the match or not, but Kaiser did post it on Facebook and on Twitter. Both of these scenes are on Facebook and Twitter. But the other one, the second scene that we saw, is of Kaiser and Smets outside the Hogwarts castle, and he sends Smets into the castle to learn to brush up on his Harry Potter trivia. Fun scenes that they're doing right now. So if you haven't seen them, check out Kaiser's or Smets' Twitter, or go on the Facebook page, go on the Dungeon Facebook page. They're really fun scenes. So it's some good stuff.
Mike Kalinowski should put hands on Kaiser.
You think so?
You're gonna come to my place of business. All right? This isn't the gridiron. This isn't the ring. This isn't the court. This is my place of business. This is where I make my money. Right? And you're gonna try to interrupt me?
Oh,
I put
there
hands
was
on.
another scene earlier that Kaiser posted too about. So we all know that John Roca used to work at Universal. He was one of the train conductors, and so the scene is basically Smets and Kaiser. Kaiser goes up to the train conductor thinking he's John Roca. This guy looks nothing like John Roca, but because he's dressed up as a train conductor, he's like, this is John Roca. Where's Mike Kalinowski? Where's Mike Kalinowski, John Roca? And Smets, is trying to tell Kaiser that's not John Roca. Again, if you haven't seen that scene, go on the Facebook page, their Twitter, look it up. It is great.
It's delightful. Let me ask you this. Shazam versus Movie Guys.
Yes.
Best match of the tournament so far?
100%.
Right.
100%. And this, when we had Preston on a few weeks ago or a month ago or something like that, we kind of talked about teams and Adam Witt and how his first showing wasn't like that great. What didn't show Adam's true, what he could really do. And I thought Adam Witt fully bounced back here, put up 6 points. Everyone else in the match in the first round, Bibiani, Brendan Meyer, Paul Preston, they all put up 7 points. So he's right there with them, 6-7 points. High scoring first round match combined for 27 points, 14-13.
Wow.
And it's definitely some of the highest totals we see in teams for the first round. These teams came out swinging hard. I mean, Paul Preston nearly had the perfect round. He misses the last question of the round. That could have been huge for him. If he gets that, and let's say he got the bonus, that would have put them at 32 to end the match, even though they missed the 5, jumping way ahead. So that could have been a difference in terms of at least maybe forcing it to overtime. So that's a huge miss in retrospective when you look at it. With two teams like this, especially Shazam. I mean, me and you have been talking about how we've been excited for Shazam. Both those guys individually have been on crazy runs, and it continues here with this first round matchup. And they definitely needed all-star performances against Paul Preston and Adam Witt, just because they were only up by 1 point with a score of 14 points of their own. So that tells me that we're talking about high-tier, high-brow movie trivia going on right now between these two teams for the first round.
Now, I'm going to say this. I want to say two things. First off, Paul Preston, high up on my draft board.
Sure.
Like, if I'm looking at drafting a team, he's on my draft board. But before I even talk about the match, because it is William Bibiani, I made William Bibiani a promise.
You did.
And I'm going to keep it, William Bibiani, because I love the Beast. Who doesn't? Love this entrance. I know he's had some great ones, but just because of my love and affection for the film Home Alone, this one is way up there. Because at first I didn't know where he was going with it.
Yeah.
And then when he was like, got my keys, got the garages closed. He should have said, Brendan, but he said,
right.
the kid,
Yeah.
And then you see the backstage shot of Brendan Meyer, the fine, young, tenderoni. He was backstage and he was running around, sped up, and then he kept doing and then I kind of look like Kevin McAllister. And then he runs through the entranceway. I just loved it. So shout out to Bibbs, another creative entrance and timely, because we're in the holidays.
True.
So very timely. We're approaching that season rather rapidly. But this match was so good, dude. I mean, it was one of the ones I was sitting actually in a parking lot watching this match. And the thing was, I was listening to it at first.
This was like a parking lot fight.
Yes, I parked. Boom. I'm outside the place I'm supposed to be going into, and I stopped and I had my phone like this, and I sat and watched the rest of it. I had to. I couldn't move before it was over with, and it was so good. I really love the movie, guys. I really love Paul Preston, but Shazam is the team. I really think they're the ones who are going to do it. I don't see, as much as I love Who's the Boss, the family, everyone who's the Odd Couple, everyone who's advanced so far. The team is Shazam.
They are definitely one of the teams.
They're the team.
You can certainly make that argument.
They're the team to beat, 100%. In my opinion. If they don't win, whoever beats them is winning.
Well, I will say, based off of these first-round performances, and we're still missing 2 matches, but I think it's safe to say we're not going to get all-time performances out of the Evil Geniuses Paddington 2 match and the Looney Bin Self-Righteous Brothers match. I don't think we're going to see, a combined 70 points from these teams in these matches. But I will say, really, the team to beat is the Odd Couple in this tournament. They are former champs. They held it this year. They defeated the Shirewolves, so they have that. They took out Who's the Boss earlier this year, who had a great showing in their first round match against Inky and the Brain. But yeah, Shazam, I'm super high in Shazam. I do have them advancing over the Odd Couple because while I do think the Odd Couple is the team to beat, Shazam is the team to beat the team to beat. Okay, so I think that's how good they can be and how good they are. And this match, look, I want to get to the second round here because this was a crazy second round between both of these teams. So Shazam was up by 1, 14-13. They defer to Movie Guys. Movie Guys spin the wheel once, land on directors, and take it, and they go 6 for 6 for the full 12 points. All right, so now they're up 25-14. Shazam, they spin once, land on 90s, they take it. They hit their first 2 for the full 2 points. On that third question, they go to multiple choice. They get the 1 point. And then they get the rest, the final 3 questions for full 6 points. Now they're tied 25-25. So what was once a 1 point lead is now a tie game thanks to them going to multiple choice once and capitalizing on it. 25 all. There's been very few misses here, very few lapses in mental games or whatever I'm trying to say. Okay, you know what I'm saying? All right. So it's all tied up at 25.
I'll let you die on that hill all by yourself.
Thank you so much. Fantastic partner. Thank you. But it's tied up at 25 points after 2 rounds. And this is shaping up to be like a semifinal or a finals of the tournament. It's crazy, crazy good. And look, I was going to save it for the end, but I don't want to forget, Adam Witt's stock tremendously has risen after this match. Because look, Movie Guys lost this match, right? So they're not going to stick together unless they're drafted on the same team. But man, let me tell you, Adam Witt, he's going to be one of those diamonds in the rough. Don't sleep on this guy. He's going to be one of those sleeper picks. He's going to be that pick that no one thought would turn into much. Adam Witt, I think, could play a huge part in someone's team, some manager winning the whole thing next year. And I think Adam Witt in this match showed exactly what he could do, because while there's a lot of conferring between the Movie Guys in that director's category, I felt like Adam Witt was really I think it was more even, more than Paul dominating. I don't really know that to be true or not true, but it just seemed like that from the eye test. So this match definitely, and I think Paul was, had to be happy at least for the way Adam played, and I think Adam, if you're a manager, you got to be looking at Adam Witt. No one's going to really be looking at him because he's not a high profile name. He's not the Dan Merles or the Bibbianis or even the Brendan Myers or Paul Preston for that matter. He's just Adam Witt for now. But if you're that manager, he could be the Adam Witt, and I think he could help a team out tremendously next year.
I mean, you got to remember, Harden was the sixth man. You know?
Yeah.
He was a sixth man. And then when he gave him his own team, he's dropping 47 on the Clippers. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You don't know what they can do until you give them that opportunity to do it. I feel like I just gift myself. But to do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'll see. I liked him a lot. I liked Wood a lot. I really am high on Paul Preston. But I think that Shazam is still, to me, the team to beat. And the resiliency, though, of both teams. That's why this one, you know, I talked about with the family. It was a good win. It wasn't a great win. Just based upon who they were going up against.
Sure. Yeah.
This was a great win because it was an earned W. It wasn't a given. And I don't want to take away from the family too much, but I'm saying that one felt more predetermined.
Sure.
You know, we already knew.
Yeah.
We already knew. This one, it was like, oh man, what's going to happen here?
The differences between the family's win and the Shazam's win is, it's relative to who you're playing. Sure. How much of a fight they can put up. And, Wildberries, they put up a decent fight, but it's nothing like what Movie Guys did here, right? Movie Guys plays Wildberries, they win that match. I mean, a lot of the teams in this tournament who play Wildberries are going to win, which I guess is an angle we should kind of go back a little bit. Robert Meyer Burnett specifically set this up because he is the tournament commissioner. So there was that element if you're looking at the storyline in that way. But, in the final round, though, Movie Guys get a tough 5-pointer. Shazam, they hit their Bibbs was just like, this is easy. It's a horror category. I forget the exact question and answer, but it was something very simple for Bibbiani, seemingly. Brendan Meyer, he missed his 2000s question. He thought he lost the game for them, and it certainly seemed like it because at the end of it all, the Movie Guys had the fate in their hands if they could have just answered their 5-pointer. Tough one, they couldn't pull it. What was it? The two nominations for Nicholson? Was that the one?
It was for Charlize.
No, Charlize Theron. Yeah.
It was what was her second nomination?
Second nomination, right. That's a tough question.
It's really tough.
I mean, because you can figure out what she's been nominated for, but then you got to think about, okay, well, in what order?
What order?
And so, and Bibbs even alluded to the fact that he thinks that they were probably debating between one or the other, and they just happened to pick the wrong one that day. And sometimes, if you're Jeff Snyder, you say Robert Duvall, and it wins you a title. So, these things happen. On the 5-pointers, it gets crazy.
It does, man. It gets wild. You just never know. And when it comes, but here's the thing: if you're a team and you got down to that last possible question, I think you should still hold your head high, especially a new team like the Movie Guys. It's like, hey, man, y'all went toe to toe.
Yeah.
Y'all slugged it out. You lost by decision, but it was a split decision. You know what I mean? So that's why I really, really, really like those guys. So who is Shazam going to be facing next in the tournament?
They're facing the Odd Couple now. So as we saw in that post-match interview, Andrico could not help himself but crashed that interview a little bit because he is chomping at the bit to beat Bibbiani for the first time ever. Brendan Meyer just happens to be there. Because Jeff Snyder also has a grudge against Bibbs for slapping him silly in that last match they faced off in the singles when Snyder got 70s and pretty much called it quits. So it's just gonna be interesting. I envision like Bibbiani. He's walking down an alley, and here's Andrico and Snyder waiting for him, and Brendan Meyer's like, I'm going to go meet my friend, William Bibbiani. I'm going to take a shortcut. Oh, what's this? A fight? Are all right, I'll help you out, Bibbs. I wasn't planning on being involved with this. So here I am, just going to do my best and hope for the best. So I think it's going to be a fascinating match because in matches like this where Snyder knows that there's an equal across from him that he's playing, he's going to use everything in his tool belt to win that match. And that's talking antics, whether that's before the match, during the match. It's going to be these are the types of matches that I love seeing Snyder in. These high stakes matches against prolific players in the league. Snyder always comes to play in some form or fashion. If he doesn't have the trivia knowledge, he's going to try and hit you with some mental warfare, some verbiage thrown your way, trying to get underneath your skin. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly his tactic, what his approach is. And same thing for Andreyko, because he seems to be playing with some sort of this vendetta against Bibiani, and I wonder how that kind of energy is going to suit Andreyko in this match.
It will be interesting, man, but I think that when you're playing with feelings, man, I think that's a really deadly game. I think you got to check all that at the door, especially in a tournament. You can't think about, hey, this guy beat me then. This guy made me look like a fool way back. I've never beaten this guy. I really want to beat him really bad. I think that plays against you, man. I really do.
And one more thing, though, tying this back to Bibiani's singles run. And look at who Bibiani had to play to get to the final. He had to play Ethan Irwin. Then first he had to play Chance Ellison. Tough match. Then he had to play Ethan Irwin, tough match. And then he had to play John Ruka, another tough match. Right now, Shazam, they had to play the movie guys. Tough match. Now they got to play the Odd Couple. That's going to be a very tough match.
Tough.
Like,
right.
These tournaments have been short. It cannot be overstated enough how much of a freaking gauntlet Bibiani has been going through. I mean, he is being put through the ringer right now with these tournament matches. I mean, not an easy match. He has not had an easy match at all in these tournament matches, and if they get past the Odd Couple, who's to say the Time Machine or Looney Bin, Self-Righteous Brothers, they're going to put up a hell of a fight. That might, relatively speaking, be their easiest match, Bibbs' easiest match thus far, but then after that, if they win that one, then they get to the final, and that one's going to be a tough one. So it's like, man, what Bibiani,
rough.
It's incredible what Bibiani's had to go through this year. My Lord, I don't know anybody who's had a tougher road of matches, win or lose. I mean, everyone he's been playing, every team, everyone's been playing at the top of their game where he's playing prolific players. It's really incredible that he even has a winning record. Like, it's pretty insane.
No, it's unbelievable what he's been able to do, and that's why he's my pick to win out both of them. He's my pick to win it all. I love Ben Bateman. I'd love to see Ben Bateman get a title.
Yeah,
I think everybody who's a fan of the movie Trivia Schmoedown wants to see Ben capture championship success. And I've said on this show, his window is closing. His all paths.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I said that his window was closing, and I felt for a long time that if you don't get it done at the Schmoedown Spectacular, maybe he never gets it done. I will say some of his recent play may have slightly altered my mindset a little bit because he's really put on the afterburners.
Yeah.
And kind of try to kick it up to a new level. But I still think that William Bibiani, he's the guy. He's the guy right now. I think that he's got it. He's got it. And man, I think he wins the team titles, and I think that he wins the singles championship at the Spectacular.
Yeah, I was with you for a little bit on this. Ben's window might be closing a little bit, and I was kind of with you for a little bit on that. But then his tournament run kind of really he just actually bumped up that window a little bit more, and
I agree.
It's given him more road now. If it doesn't happen at Spectacular, he's definitely going to be in line for a title shot, probably within the first quarter of the year next year. I would say within the first 3 months.
If he's not the champion.
If he's not the champion, yeah. He's definitely. I think he's going to have probably a number. He would most at the very least have a number one contender match next year to start his first singles match. I think if he doesn't beat Bibbs at Spectacular, and if he doesn't win the singles title at Spectacular, I think he will more than likely start off with a number one contender match in singles. So, and he'll be more than capable to win that against whoever it is.
Oh, absolutely. So we'll see, man. I'm really intrigued by the Shazam and Odd Couple match. So I really can't wait to see that go down. But we have one more match to talk about from this week. Crimson Fury, Tim the Tank, of course. Because he's trying to come for it, man. He's trying to come for that Bond championship. Just throwing it out there.
The elusive, imaginary Bond championship.
I'm the Back to the Future champion. I got the Bond Blu-ray set. I've been studying. Just throwing it out there. Just saying. You know my Bond skill. I whisper in your ear every time. I got the right answer in your ear. Remember that? I was whispering in your ear.
Yeah, I know. It was super not creepy. You're right. Yeah.
Versus the Loose Cannons. Z-Man, the Zip.
Yep.
The Zip! And Precious Paul Oyama, the singles champion. Who did you have a favorite? I think we both picked Loose Cannons in this match.
Mostly because of Paul, and it was like, hey, I think he could carry that team. But this match, probably the second best team match we've had thus far. And, well, I'm actually, like, play-wise, second best. But it's really like the third, actually fourth best match, because the second best match of the tournament has been Family vs. Wildberries. That match, I don't think we really covered how entertaining that match was. Like, for real. It
was funny.
Like, that match was bonkers, off the wall, antics galore. I mean, Dewberry, Makuga and Andrew Guy have some sort of, like, secret friendship, I think, going on there. It was hilarious. I know we're getting sidetracked here, but I wanted to talk about just how Drew McWeeny. I think he only stopped laughing for like 2 minutes. Like, I think he was laughing every single time a question was asked.
Yeah,
or
he was all in.
he was having a great time, and he was playing well, which is like the two things you could ever ask for. And he was phenomenal in that match. But Wildberries, I wouldn't be surprised if that match, Wildberries and the Family, wins match of the year. Just simply because how fun it was. Just based on that, how fun it was.
I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it from entertainment factor. But Loose Cannons and Crimson Fury, let's get back to it. Going in, we were thinking Loose Cannons. Give me your 30,000-foot view of the situation, of the match.
So I think when you look at Oyama and Eric Zipper, they definitely have the edge in terms of, I think, team chemistry. They've been together a little bit longer. They've been in the dungeon together. They came into the dungeon becoming a team. Kaiser kind of put them together. Remember the whole trial run? We'll see how you guys do. This, that, and the other, right? So they have a little bit more time together than Crimson Fury does. Tim Franco came out as a surprise teammate of Stacy's when playing against, was it Late to the Party, right? So, also, I think it's hard to, if you're not local, and I know Paul's also not local, but he's been to the studio. He's played matches a lot more than Tim Franco has, right, this year. And he's also the current champion. So you put all that together, you got to give the edge to Loose Cannons. Zip, he had that one lone match against Haley Fouch, played really well in singles, showed up at the Manager Bowl match when he was representing Kaiser, played pretty well there. And so you got to go, I like the way this is all shaping out. Paul Yama's the champ. You put him with a solid player in Zip. And Stacey Howard is hot and cold. She's streaky. She did oust Mark Riley, but then she lost her next singles tournament match and didn't play great at all. So are we going to see that Stacey Howard? I think Tim's probably going to play pretty well. He's a solid player. Hasn't played a lot, so I can't put him in the elite level. But the more and more he plays, the more and more I like, the more and more he proves to everybody about, and improves my assumption right that he's a good player. So you put all that together, I still would have put Loose Cannons and even to, I think, what was it, Brienne and Alice's dismay, or not dismay, but disbelief, Crimson Fury was the favored team in this match due to a knockout, so adjacent to their record. So, it was. This was one of my most anticipated matchups, to be honest, because I felt they were even, an even matchup, even though I would give the edge to Loose Cannons.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of your sentiments. I think that just because Paul is the singles champion and he hasn't lost in singles, I kind of feel like, oh, okay, well, this guy, it makes your team pretty good. And then I look at Stacey Howard, who I agree with your assessment, streaky. And Tim, I just haven't seen a lot of. So, I mean, I echo your sentiments entirely. So, but also, when you talk about streaky, you got to talk about Eric Zipper. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Sometimes brother's on point. Sometimes he's... You know what I mean?
Totally. Sound effects and all. Yeah, I get it.
Sound effects and all. So, I felt that the Loose Cannons would get it, but it was one of those things to where it's like if I was in Vegas, which I'm going to be in next week, I wouldn't bet money on it. I wouldn't feel confident enough.
Stay far away from this one.
Yeah, this would be one I take a pass on. I take a hard pass on. So break it down for me. I mean, what did you think overall of the play? I mean, points, all that.
Yeah, Paul came out, did his champion thing, put up 7 points in the first round. Zip with 5. You'd like to see that 6 number up there, but 5 was getting the job done because Stacey Howard put up 4 points. Again, we go to that hot and cold that she's been playing. Yep. So 4 points. That's a cold number. Tim Franco put up 6. That's an average number for the first round, but certainly capable of better. So Loose Cannons up 12-10, and I go, yeah, this is about what I kind of expected. It's going somewhat according to the plan that I had in my head.
Yeah, I think that I wasn't shocked with Stacey's first round. It was nothing that shocked me. And I thought, though, it did spell disaster up front just based on that, because we've seen these team matches so much really is put on that first round, because if you can pile up the points there, you can really start to set yourself apart in round 2.
Yeah,
sure, you can battle back, but typically the better you do in round 1, the higher your chances are to win the game, just based off not just statistically and mathematically, just momentum begins to build. And I thought that momentum was on the side of Loose Cannons going into that second round, Frank.
Yeah, 100%. And when you look at the second round, right, Loose Cannons defers to Crimson Fury. They spin Brad Pitt. They opt to spin again. They end up on Festival Darlings. Now, Festival Darlings has this reputation about, basically, it was the Bibbiani killer when Bibbiani played Sam Levine in that tournament in 2017. Right. But the category has been landed on a few more times since then. It's not as a devastating blow to players anymore. And look, right. Stacey Howard, and you heard Tim Franco talk about it in the post-match interview, Stacey Howard really helped out in this round, really taking the lead, it seems, with the answers here. They ended up putting up 7 points of their own across six questions, answering 5 of them. So, they did check the multiple choice 4 times, going 3 of 4 on those for 3 points. So they had more opportunities for points, but they navigated the situation well. They were able to stay within somewhat of an arm's reach at that point. But then Loose Cannon goes, they spin Coming of Age, and seemingly take it immediately, and they rattle off. They go 5 for 5 for the 10 points. Weren't able to get the 6th question, even with multiple choice, but Crimson Fury did steal that, so they earned 8 points for the round compared to Loose Cannons' 11, which made it a 5-point advantage for Loose Cannons after 2 rounds, 23-18. Now, this 5-point deficit, there's only been one team to come back from a 5-point deficit in the team's division, and this was actually the 3rd comeback win when Superhero News was playing against Trek. Trek overcame a 15-10 deficit, and they ended up winning it. And we haven't hit the last actually large deficit to overcome was Loose Cannons versus Looney Bin when Loose Cannon was down by 4. They were down 26-22 going to the final round, and they ended up winning. The final round, let me tell you, interesting with Eric Zipper not knowing Jim Lovell, Apollo 13, not knowing it's Tom Hanks. It would not have won them the game, but it would not have lost them the game at the end of regulation. I don't know, but before we get into that, I guess, what did you think of the second round?
No, I mean, to me, I just loved that it had this sense of what's going on here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always love in matches, in movies, in television, in anything, in sports, when I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? Are we, what's the score? Wait, where are we? You know what I mean? I always just love a sense of unpredictability. And I think that's why the Schmoedown is such a great game the way it's constructed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you could just have straight up, 3 rounds. They're all similar point values, and we wouldn't see this kind of excitement in the game. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Just, man, I just love, especially in tournament season, it's like the playoffs. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and this was close. Like I said, Crimson Fury earned 8 points for their second round in total. Loose Cannons 11, and after 2 rounds, you go, Loose Cannons looks like the better team. I mean, they're up by 5 points
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
They look to be the better team.
But you started to you felt something, though, right?
So Crimson Fury, they had to answer their first 2 questions in the final round, no matter what, because there was their 5-point deficit. Had to answer their 2 and their 3. They do that, and so now it goes to Loose Cannons. Eric Zipper gets a 2-pointer. He admits he overthought it. He went Gary Sinise instead of Tom Hanks, and misses a crucial 2 points. Now, when I was watching this, I thought, okay, look, it's tied. What was it tied? Right? It was 23. No, they were up by 2.
Oh, yeah.
Crimson Fury was up by 2. So 2 points to tie it, right? And I thought, okay, you want to ensure that you can tie the match. I was like, Paul is better than Zip.
For sure.
I think
that's why he's a champion.
Exactly, right? He's a champ. I was like, get the 2 points to make sure you tie the game at the very least. Because if they miss their 5, at least you just tied the game. And if you miss your 3 and your 5, it's tie game. We go to sudden death, and anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
Play for almost a guaranteed 2 points, quote unquote, guaranteed. I thought
it's like kicking a field goal instead of going for the 2-point conversion.
Right. You know, and so I thought, nothing against Zip, but I was like, just make sure you get this, because if you miss this, which is at the same time, you don't think Zip's gonna miss. I didn't think Zip was gonna miss it either. But I was just like, from a strategic point of view, I was like, I'd rather have Paul go. He's your best player. He's the best player. He's the champ, like you said. Get the 2 points.
Champ's gonna champ.
Right. And they didn't do that, and that's fine. I think, hey, look, I think that speaks to the trust that Paul and Zip have between each other, and I think it served them well
or their
in this match.
naivete as a team.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go that far. I'm not gonna say outright no, but I'm not prepared to go that far. I would just say,
okay.
I think there's trust there that, look, Paul should also be like, Eric should get a 2-pointer. Eric's like, I should get a 2-pointer right. Everyone should get a 2-pointer right. So,
right.
Yeah, you give it to your quote-unquote weaker player. But certain situations dictate certain things if you subscribe to, that line of thinking, that line of strategy, I guess. So, it is what it is. Zip missed the 2-pointer, and like I said, while it would not have won them the game, it definitely would not have lost them the game the way everything else rolled out, because Crimson Fury got their 5-pointer, and that meant Loose Cannons had to get their 5-pointer since Paul did get his 3-pointer. And man, 3 Ninjas, when's the last time you watched 3 Ninjas? I don't
3 months
know.
ago.
Is it really?
Not lying.
Wow.
I was like, I was like, I'm not going to lie to you. I was driving around, and all of a sudden I started saying, Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. And I'm like, what is that from? And I'm like, Three Ninjas. Watched all three of them that night.
Did you
really? I stopped before High Noon at Mega Mountain. I didn't go down the Hulk Hogan High Noon at Mega Mountain path, but I almost did.
And see, and to me, I think you have to really love Three Ninjas. Obviously,
Yes.
you do. To really know this question, I think, because not everyone goes back and watches Three Ninjas. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I was like, oh,
You're right.
I remember liking it, but it's not something I revisit. There's not the type of movies you revisit unless you really, really like them. So I think they just got caught up. They got caught up in one of these questions, and clearly Tim Franco loves Three Ninjas because he knew the answer. So, this was a tough loss because they blew a 5-point lead. They blew a 5-point. They're only second team ever to blow a 5-point lead. It's tied for the biggest lead blown in the team's division history. Tough. It's a tough way to go out.
Not fun. You know what I mean? Not a fun way to go out, especially when you have a championship already around your waist.
Yeah.
It doesn't do well for the old confidence. You know what I mean? And especially when you're playing at such a high level, a lot of times confidence is everything in this game. And for them not to be able to pull it out, it really was. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Man. I kind of felt like, and if I'm Kaiser, I'm kind of feeling feelings of the collision. Do you know what I mean? Last question, big match. What just happened? What happened? You know? And here's the thing. At least Paul can go home and say, hey, look, he can go back to Hawaii, which is a terrible place to have to go back to.
Right.
And he can say, hey, I'm still the champion. I'm still going to be spectacular. And I wonder, do you think that had anything to do with it's not that he had a bad performance at all, but I'm just saying, do you think it had anything to do do you think that he was just a little bit more lax? Because he's like, hey, I already got my spot. I'm guaranteed.
Maybe, but I think it's also, I don't look, if that was in fact his mentality, it didn't affect him. He missed one question, and if you want to put missing that second round question on him, okay, he missed 2 for the entire match. So I don't think it drastically affected his play if that in fact was his mentality. So if it was, it's not like the worst thing in the world. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you. I was just trying to think of not only the 3 names of the 3 ninjas, Colt, Rocky, and Tum Tum, but I was also trying to think of what their real names were. I think it was like Michael, Jeffrey,
Jordan.
I can't remember. Is it No, it's not Jordan. Jeffrey Jordan.
Michael
It's not
Jeffrey Jordan.
It's not Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Wouldn't that be funny though?
That would be hilarious. Yeah, it would be great.
I would have loved that.
I mean,
anyway,
Anyways, yeah. Go ahead. I don't get
my
a
point.
tangent. Yeah.
I don't have a point. My point is this: Christian Fury pulls out the dub.
Yes, right.
And now, who do they match up with next week?
So now they're looking at the mighty. Who's the boss?
I know. I'm gonna be honest with you. You might as well pack it up. Pack it up. Pack it in. Let me begin.
I mean, look.
Battle me. That's a sin.
Look, first of all, Stacey Howard cannot have a 4-point first round against Who's the Boss. Just cannot happen because
she'll get annihilated. The team will get annihilated.
And here's the thing. Sure, you could say, well, Mark Riley, he can be hot and cold, but man, you know what? He's had some time since that loss to Stacey Howard. He showed up big in that first match, right? In that first round, 9-9, perfect. Stacey, I don't think has ever gotten a perfect first round. I think she's at least gotten 7 once or twice. I don't know. I can't off the top of my head. I don't think she's gotten a perfect first round ever. But if she puts up 4 points, then Tim Franco needs to go 9 for 9 to end up with 13 first round points if that's the case. But
absolutely.
Ben, he could throw Ben and Riley if they threw up perfect first rounds. I mean, it's entirely possible. I can't say the same for Tim Franco and Stacey Howard that I think that's possible. And so much of the team game is predicated on how well you do in that first round. It really could set the tone for the whole match,
Yeah.
and it could be an uphill battle for Crimson Fury the whole way through.
If they score anything less, in my opinion, than 12 combined points in the first round, I mean, that's like the low end of the spectrum. If they score less than 12, I think they're screwed. I think the match is over.
Who's the boss
if
put
they
up
score
16
more than
points in their first match, in the first round?
I know.
It's crazy.
I know. So I'm saying you have to get at least 12. I mean, at least 12. At least to stay competitive.
And that's barely keeping you competitive at the very least.
No, that's
right.
barely. That's
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's the end of the scale. It's the end of the scale. Like if you probably have to get more, but 12 at least keeps you in the game for another round or so. So I'm excited for that match too. I'm excited for the second round. They're really shaping up really, really well. Still, right now, earmark your winner of the tournament. Or who you picking? You just earmark it right now so we can go back and I can say Frank Janish was wrong.
I want to say Who's the Boss. I do. But
I understand why you'd want to say that.
I think Who's the Boss and Shazam is the final. But I'm going to go with the more experienced Who's the Boss over Shazam because Brendan Meyer, he found himself in a lonely place against Ben Bateman in that semifinal match in the tournament. So
he did.
Can Ben exploit the kid again? We'll see.
I don't know. I have too much faith in my boy. The fine, young Tenderoni.
Wow, that's twice in one episode. We're blessed.
It is twice, and we're almost close to spectacular. Oh, God, I can't wait. I'm going to start that fine, young
Even if he's not in the building, just want to hear it.
FYT. FYT.
Oh, my gosh.
FYT.
It's a new... It's the new PYT? Is that what it is?
It's the new PYT, yeah. Not a pretty young thing. A fine young tenderoni.
Oh, man.
You know. I don't know what's better that I've made up this episode. FYT or Napcock. I don't know. I don't know which one is better.
You know what's funny is I knew you were going to say it, and I was like... And it's still hilarious. I just... oh,
it's pretty funny.
God.
Oh, I don't know. Y'all sound off in the comments section below. Frank, anything else?
I'm going to add a poll.
Zinger?
I'm going to add a poll, and it's going to be between FYT and Napcock.
And Napcock?
Yeah. I'm going to set up a poll. I think I can do it. But either way, if you don't see it, comment down below which one it is.
Comment down below. Hit me up on Twitter at Brad Gilmore on all social media.
Oh my gosh.
Also check out the Hall of Fame with Booker T and myself. We're going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada next week, baby, covering that Deontay Wilder versus King Kong Ortiz fight at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. They better put me in that suite like they did last time because the boat needs the best. Frank Janish, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29 and every Monday evening, 8 p.m. Central, doing the cheat sheet on the Schmoedown Rundown Facebook page.
That is right. And in between now and that Monday, Frank Janish will be watching episodes 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian on repeat. Not repeat.
100%.
Repeat. Absolutely. Frank Janish, thank you so much. All our viewers here on the SEN, the Schmoedown Entertainment Network, we thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to the correct podcast feed
All
so
of
you
them.
can get us every... Oh, yeah, just subscribe to all of them. That way you don't have to worry about
Exactly.
it. And we'll see you next week. Napcock, man.
That's just ridiculous. FYT and Napcock? Napcock?
I was looking at their names. I was like, Knapsack.
I know,
Hancock.
but like
Napcock.
Hanzock, or it could be Hanzock, like Hanzock.
I think Hanzock for some reason sounds dirtier than Napcock.
Maybe. I think that's
Oh man.